So we're going to create a sort of abstracted landscape in the style of Wayne Thiebaud. I printed off some images you can look at for inspiration of some of Thiebaud's paintings. And we're going to be creating these pretty large. I've got some big construction paper. It doesn't really matter what color you choose. Some of it's going to show through, but a lot of your picture is going to be covered with paint and with pastel and with different textures. So you might want to pick a color. This one was the pretty sort of a purpley color that popped through, but you pick a color and just think that it's okay if you don't get your first choice of color because a lot of your painting is going to be filled with paint. So what I want us to do today is we're going to block in sort of the background or the main part of the pictures with the roads, or if you want to do a river scene or a water scene, and then you're going to break in the rest of the background with shapes, basic big shapes that we can color and we can add patterns to next time. So as we're looking through these, you might notice that a lot of the roads and the rivers have curved shapes, a little bit more organic, and then also the background shapes are both. We see some organic and we see some that are a little more geometric, like a square or an oval. Okay, so I'm going to pick out a color. You can turn your paper direction either way. I think I'm going to do the orange. And again, like I said, these papers are nice and big, so you can really spread out. You can turn your paper either direction, horizontally or vertically, and it may change as you're working, which way you like it better. And then I'm going to look at the Wayne Thiebaud handout just for some inspiration and think about what I want my basic outline to be. I liked to use the blue on this one. I was trying to do more of a water, like a river. This one I might do more of a road with, and I'm gonna turn my paper a different direction. You can choose any color of oil pastel that you want. Remember, the oil pastels can get on your hands a little, so just be careful. They blend really nicely, so if you want to use a couple of colors to blend, you can do that. I really like this big curve in this one. I think I'm going to do something similar on mine, and then I might change it some. So just with my oil pastel, I'm making a nice, bold, dark curve. And then I want to make it with two lines. So we want to think about sort of parallel lines that we can fill in with paint next time. So I'm going to make a second one. Kind of beside it. And I'm trying to keep the same thickness throughout. And then I think I'm going to add just a few extra lines or details to break up the space. So maybe we'll do one here. Maybe I'll do a smaller one over here. And again, this is sort of like an aerial view. It's almost like we're looking down on the land, and it abstracts it some. If you think about a plane in the air, when you look down on the land, that would be aerial view, or a bird flying above. That would also be aerial view. And like I said, if you want to blend a couple of colors, like maybe I'll add some of this green, or the white would make it nice and bright. That could even be something we do at the end. This is a fun time to experiment too. And I happen to use blue on both of these, but you might want to use the peach. You might want to use the orange oil pastel if you had a different color paper. If you had like a blue paper, you might pick a color that contrasts a little bit more. So I'm just going back over my blue lines, and if you can see, when I add that second layer, it really helps blend the oil pastel. Oil pastel almost looks like paint once you go over it a few times, especially when you mix colors. So those are going to be my main, almost like road lines or water lines for this one. And then I'm going to start thinking about the background, the spaces around that. And for today, we're going to block in some basic shapes. So you might think about rectangles and ovals. You might think about more organic shapes, which are shapes that have a little bit more of a free form but don't really have a name. And you can play with the colors with these. Again, next week we're going to come in and mix all different types of pastels. So really you can do any colors you want for this. The big thing is just to kind of think, take your time, don't rush. Think about what some interesting shapes could be. I think I'm going to use the pink. We'll see if the pink shows up on the orange. Maybe I'll start right here. That is a little hard to see. With almost like a rectangle shape that has curved edges. I'm gonna grab this peachy color. Yeah, I can see that a little bit better. So that might be my first shape. I'm gonna grab the yellow. Maybe I'll do more of a triangle shape here. Like that. I want you to avoid using the black today. If we look at Thiebaud's paintings, Thiebaud rarely used black in his work. I actually don't see any black in any of these 4 paintings. So black is kind of the one color we want to avoid today. If you want to use a little brown, you could, but we want to keep these kind of light using those pastel colors. I'm going to use the red. You can see I'm peeling it. Maybe this little section, I'm going to break into organic shapes that are a little bit longer. Something like that. And then let's do, how about another blue? I'll break up this little space. I'm trying to think if there's a color I haven't really used. Maybe some white. Thinking over here now. Again, I'm referring to Thiebaud's. I think this is kind of neat. He's got a long triangle here and then some short, almost rectangular organic shapes. So maybe we'll do a triangle shape here next to the line, and then we'll kind of break up this space. And really just as an artist, I'm thinking about filling up my space in an interesting way, seeing how the shapes play off each other. As I draw one, I might think of something different I want to do or a new color. And I'm keeping my spaces pretty big. They're not too small, so I can have areas next week to fill in with paint that aren't too small. Okay, I'm liking this. I feel like I'm getting pretty close to finish. Today it's really just going to look like abstract shapes, and then next week we will add some more details to make it more of the landscape. So we've got our main lines here, and then we've got our abstract shapes in our background. When you are happy with your drawing, on the back today, I want you to write your name and your teacher code, okay, or your cohort. So on the back, you can do this with a pencil. If you will just write your name. And I'm going to pretend like I'm in 5th grade Lime. Okay? And then next week, we will come back in and add some more details. All right, you can get started.